Assalamu alaikum. This podcast has been brought to you by SeekersGuidance, the global Islamic seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at SeekersGuidance.org/donate. As little as $10 a month can help people find life-changing guidance.
One buys a certain type of food, for example a cookie, but one does not know whether it has lard or not, or, i.e. pig fat. Is one sinful to buy and eat this food, regarding that one tried to ask for the ingredients but no one in the store knows?
So the question was, you chose to buy food, you went to a store to buy food, and you don't know what the ingredients are. Now, they say overall there's 3 levels of caution. Right? There's caution regarding what you do regularly. Right? And then there's that which you do often. And then the third is what you do exceptionally. And as comments and the fuqaha distinguish between these 3 levels of caution, why? Because let's say, most of the time, the things we buy regularly, right? It's not a hardship to find out properly. Okay, this is clearly legitimate. You find out once, and then, you can exercise. You can set some caution, like a higher level of caution regarding it. But when you're traveling, etc., the threshold of caution is somewhat lower in general terms. If one wants to be cautious, one thing to be careful about is that you can't square a circle, right? You can't act in ways that are not cautious and try to be cautious in those ways. Okay? So you say, okay, I want to eat at Boston Pizza, and to be really careful that what they're serving me is legitimately halal. Why? Because the very act of going to Boston Pizza, in a place where they serve alcohol and they serve non-zabiha meat and the possibility of contamination is very high, etc., how can you combine that with trying to be cautious? Right? And people contort themselves in strange ways by trying to do so. So, if you want to be cautious, there's an approach to caution. The first is, learn soundly. Don't try to figure it out yourself. So caution, they say broadly, requires 3 things. The first is, learn the guidance of Allah and His Messenger regarding the thing you want to be cautious about. And it'll actually make your life much easier than other ways of trying to be careful. So some people, like I know people, without exaggeration, who called the manufacturer of the glue used in their shoes as to whether there was any prohibited ingredients in it. Because they not only contacted the shoe manufacturer, but they found out, okay, well they went down right till the glue. And no one would, even if the glue was made from pig, it would be excused. Right? And you're not responsible for finding out that one. No one would say that kind of investigation is required. So the impulse to be cautious is a natural impulse of someone seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taking their religion seriously. But the first step in caution is learn what you're responsible for, reliably. That's the first step. Without that, your caution will be miserable and confusing. You'll go into excess, and it'll be unsustainable for you, and you'll cause a lot of commotion within your family, in your circles, and so on. So that's the first step. Learn. And you'll find that some things are much less strict than you thought they were. And other things that you didn't imagine were so important are actually that important. Right? So that's something we would recommend. So gain caution. Now when it comes to food, can you buy something or eat something that you don't know all the ingredients of? You start with, first look at the general case about what you're getting. Some things, the general case is that they're permissible. And the likelihood of there being an impermissible ingredient in them is very low. So for example, if you get, if you buy salad, right? You go to a buffet and there's salad. What's the likelihood that there'll be haram ingredients in salad? Hardly, right? Unless they say with bacon bits or with chicken or with some meat. Right? Now you want to be cautious. Say, is this, is there any meat in this or whatever? And say no. It's very straightforward. Right? So you start with what's the starting point. And there's other things in which very often there are problematic ingredients. Right? So going back to experience and common sense. So for example, if you're buying jelly, is it often that there'll be some problematic ingredients in jelly? Yeah, because jelly uses gelatin a lot, and gelatin is a differed upon ingredient, right? It's problematic. So that would require caution. But if you're buying coffee, do you have to even worry about the ingredients? No, because what would you add in coffee? Milk, cream, there's no issue. Sweetener, if it's you buy bad coffee. It's far-fetched. But then there are things that are borderline. Right? Those borderline cases are the ones that cause problems. And practically, that's where the way out of it is to avoid too many processed foods, things that have many ingredients. Because the more ingredients there are in something, the more likelihood there is that there's something that could be problematic. So the practical way of caution in it is eat real food, and it'll be clear. You don't need 56 ingredients in the apple pie that you're buying. If you've got 56 ingredients, just don't buy it. That's the caution, right? Because how many ingredients does apple pie need? Like 6, 8 main ingredients, maximum. Okay? So that's part of, there's a practical way to caution, right? Practical way to caution.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seekers Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit SeekersGuidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit SeekersGuidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.